This is going to be a look at the Ravens' coverages and how they were able to disrupt and sometimes deflect the football in Sunday's win over the Browns. Specifically going to focus on Brandon Stevens' coverage, how he tempos the ball so well. He looked really athletic in this game. I love the all-22 view because you can see how close DBs are to receivers. They really seem to take Amari Cooper out of the game. I know there will be some that will say that was related to the quarterback's ability, and that is true. But there were so many times where they were physical with Cooper and they were stuck to him. Rock Ya-Sin, Ronald Darby, Geno Stone, Arthur Millette. Multiple guys are being used in this DB group through 4 weeks. And they're all playing well. That's why I named it Baltimore Shuffle. There's just so many guys moving in and out of this lineup. It's not all about just the interceptions, although we did have 3. Geno Stone got another one. Brandon Stevens got one off a deflection by Arthur Millette. A really cool play where it looks like to me Amari Cooper's not even really going for the football because he recognizes that Roquan Smith is a presence in the middle of the field and is going to hit him. Kyle Hamilton gets his first career interception, which I'll show in another video later this week. I'm going to do one on him. Playing a lot of different coverages, making life miserable for the quarterback with a lot of stunts, different blitz pressures. So many guys are going to be involved in this cut-up. I hope to mention as many as possible. It's 12 or 13 plays here, I think. I tried to do a representative sample of how well I think they covered, which to me is what caused the Ravens coaches to make the decision to go conservative offensively in the third quarter, which some people did not like. That's fine. But the coverages, how well we were covering them, was the evidence they needed to make that decision without our starting 2 tackles and say, well, we're not going to put Lamar at risk for any type of QB hit or whatever because we know we're shutting them out. We're blanketing them defensively. And that's a phrase I'll use a couple of times, blanket, because it really applies to how some of these guys covered. Now, we actually are going to give up the first down on this one. This is first possession, 3rd and 5. It's 11 personnel twin slot. I believe it's like man free. Geno Stone is beat by the tight end Njoku. It was pretty cool to see Njoku out there after the very random and unusual situation that happened at his home with a fire pit, apparently. But I mentioned this play because Roquan kind of pushes out of the middle of the field. And I think everybody else is playing man-free. I basically think it's man-free here. With Queen on the back, a middle-of-the-field free safety, which is Hamilton. And then Roquan is pushing. That's not Hamilton, I'm sorry. That's Darryl Worley in the middle of the field. And then Roquan kind of opens up the middle of the field. I'm mentioning this because thereafter, he does this one more time later in the game, but thereafter he's a real presence in the middle of the field, disrupting passing lanes, basically dissuading the quarterback from even attempting throws over the middle of the field after this one. This is still first possession. It's a 2nd and 8. I love the fact that we have Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton next to each other. That Hamilton's range, his ability to get out into the flats, and then Roquan's intelligence, awareness, ability to read the quarterback but feel the route. This is nearly intercepted. Additionally, you have to talk about Darryl Worley. 3 times in this game, he's laying shots on receivers. He's got a linebacker mentality at the safety position. I don't know how old the dude is, but I hope he can stick around and do this for us in terms of being an available player whenever we have safety issues with a player hurt or whatever. I love Darryl Worley's game. Roquan seemed, if you ask me, to kind of learn after that first play, that first 3rd and 8 that I showed you, and he nearly intercepts this one. I think you've just got brilliant coverage across the board most of the day. Very next play after that deflection by Roquan is a 3rd and 8, and I think you've got quarter half here for the Ravens. I'll break that down in a minute, but it's a great pass rush by Van Noy up at the top of the screen. Ends up being incomplete on a beautiful effort by Darryl Worley, which we'll get to in a minute. Here's Van Noy. Clean win on the rush up at the top side. Is what we got him for. I think he's a difference maker. I think he's a real difference maker. We got quarter half, if you ask me. Stevens, deep fourths here. And then I think Worley is the half defender there. I think this is Darby, and he's going to end up getting sucked to the inside of the field a little bit when DTR gets flushed out of the pocket. And what happens is it ends up allowing Moore to kind of flow into that open space. Yes, maybe some other quarterbacks would get the ball out there earlier, but look at Worley's close and challenge. That's what I love here. And what I like to point out about him is that he is a physical presence back there. We've seen that in previous years. We talked about on this channel 2 years ago, late in the season up in Cincinnati. He was extremely physical with Jamar Chase. We got blown out. Joe Burrow threw for 480 yards or whatever he threw for. But Daryl Worley was physical with Jamar Chase that day. He was physical last year when he got in the game some at DB. And now he's bringing that to the safety position. Seems like a smart personnel move by the Ravens at this point. Second possession, this is a 2nd and 3. I think we're matching up here in man free. Brandon Stephens is all over Moore down at the bottom side of the screen. I think Hamilton is on Peoples-Jones in the middle of the screen. And then up here, that's either Darby or Yasin. They're both playing to the top side. I think that's Darby. I feel like Darby's a little heavier up top looking on film. Ball that could have been intercepted. Brent Urban also would. I thought Brent Urban played spectacular. He gets a big quarterback hit. Ball is severely underthrown as a result. And they're lucky it was not intercepted. But look at the coverage by Stephens. He's all over the guy. This is a guy who in the preseason we all watched be targeted multiple times. And I don't know how he looks more athletic. He looks like he's more sticky to receivers in the regular season now, lately. Still got a DPI in this game, but we're getting a ton out of a lot of these type of guys. Particularly Worley and Stephens, guys who've been around for a while and were not looked at as starters, but are now asking to play a lot of snaps every week, and they're playing well. Very next play, 3rd and 3. This is the interception by Stephens. You got man up top, I believe, and you got zone down here to the bottom side, to the bunch. Stephens ends up getting the interception. I was so glad that this wasn't like one of those situations where they reviewed something for 5 minutes. Just don't agree with interrupting the flow of the game. But up top here, I think you've got man. Cleveland went empty a lot in this game. I think you got man up here. Ends up being a bunch down here to the bottom side. And I think we're just zoning this off. I think we're just allowing the routes to distribute. And watch out, Malay. Watch how you get the out move. And then he's able to break back on the inside on Cooper, who really doesn't make an attempt for this football. Yes, this ball was thrown behind Cooper. It does not matter. If the ball was thrown in phase in front of Cooper, where it should be, he's getting KO'd. And I think he's trying to avoid that. As it stands, Malay takes the hit for him, gets the pass deflection, however. I don't know about you, but this felt like a moment that was going to be a pick six. It felt like a moment that was going to be validation for a guy like Stephens, who is taking a lot of criticism, clearly. He seems to be tempoing routes really, really well. I only have one situation in this video that I'm going to show you where I think he could be a little closer to the receiver, and I suspect that that's a zone call. But in any case, 3rd and 3, Butte on the second possession gets the interception. Huge moment because we're able to turn it into a touchdown. Third possession, 3rd and 1. It's going to be tough for me not to be negative here towards this play call by the Browns. Stephens is having difficulty keeping up with Cooper up top, and he eventually gets called for a DPI. Not a huge fan of calls like that bail out the offense. But Njoku also might be losing Hamilton a little bit up at the top, although initially Hamilton has blanketed him. So we're talking about here, Hamilton, here, Stephens on Cooper. But I'm just not a fan of play calls like this. Trickery, basically. We talked about this in the preview a little bit. Another guy I'd like to point out as the play begins here for the 3rd time is Patrick Queen. Committed. When the tight end motions over, watch the trigger that this is for Queen. As soon as he goes under center, Queen is gone. Now, he doesn't blow someone up. Him and Travis Jones are there, though, in terms of a quarterback or tight end sneak. I love the commitment that Patrick Queen had. I'll continue to try to mention that, the commitment he has to being physical and giving himself up for the situation. In any case, tight end walked up at quarterback and then tosses it to the quarterback. I'm not sure how you can justify those plays. If you're a Browns fan, maybe we're more aware of it than a lot of Ravens fans. If you watched my preview video, you certainly were aware of the element of trickery that's in that offense this year. I think with an offensive line as good as that one is, it just doesn't make sense. Neither does this. The very next play is a sweep with the tight end and an offensive lineman in the backfield. So you've put a sixth offensive lineman on the field, removed a potential receiver, which, they do sometimes. They go jumbo, 6 offensive linemen. But watch Harrison and Hamilton force this inside. Brent Urban is also there late to disrupt. Just a great job of making this bow back or reverse. Yeah, it's a poor decision by Moore, clearly, to reverse field, lose 20 yards. But he was put in this position by his coach. I feel like this is poor play calling on consecutive plays. And it shows him, to me, it shows him, and this was there before Nick Chubb was hurt. This was there before Deshaun Watson was hurt in terms of what the way they call plays and the way they utilize offbeat, unusual, weird, trick plays, whatever you want to call them, the way they use them often. When we did the preview, we're talking about 3 games into the regular season and a preseason film that I had of them against the Chiefs. And you had an element of trickery in every game, and it came back to haunt them on back-to-back plays, even though they were fortunate to get a DPI there. Possession ended in a field goal. I think the Ravens are up 7-3 at that point. All right, 4th possession. It's a 1st and 10. It's a run pass down, meaning it could be a run play, it could be a pass play. Yeah, there's another sack not finished by Jadeveon Clowney, who is playing well nonetheless. We clearly need him to finish some of these sacks. It's a great job by him and Urban off this right side on the twist stunt. It's a fantastic job. Like I said, Brent Urban played a great game. Additionally, you got Rock Ya-Sin. Watch his zone instincts. I think he's playing incredibly well and not getting much attention for it. And he's very physical. He's physical in coverage and he's physical tackling. I think what we've got up there to that side with Darby and him is a really cool pairing. I'm not sure why we rotate guys so much there. They both seem to be playing well. Perhaps that's why. I'd kind of like to see Stevens this is a zone mentality here. I'd kind of like to see him be a little closer to this route by Moore as Moore sits this down. But in any case, it's a great play by Ya-Sin on a 1st and 10. Next possession, we're kind of skipping around here, to be honest with you. Next possession, 3rd and 4, empty. Again, the Browns have utilized this, I think, 6 times in the first half. You get a free rusher. It's Van Noy. It's a brilliant play. He's a difference maker, like I said earlier. He's seen everything. And so these situations come up. You're a free rusher. You want to get a sack, obviously. But there has to be a moment where he realizes, all right, I'm not going to get the sack. I see the quarterback pulling the pin on the grenade. So he gets his hands up. But notice also, too, he doesn't just raise his hands up. He swats at the ball forward. He's trying to get the trajectory of the deflection to go up in the air. Hamilton and I think Ya-Sin I believe this is supposed to be man down here. Hamilton is supposed to be, I think, on this out route, and Ya-Sin is staying with his man, Peoples-Jones. You'll see them communicate a little bit after the play. Nearly intercepted. You can see Rock Ya-Sin and Hamilton are communicating. We'll let it run one more time. Additionally, up to the top, this is pure chaos. Smith looks like he's going to blitz, and then he drops out, and then Michael Pierce drops out as well to just basically shut down the other side of the field in terms of in-breaking routes, not make it available to the quarterback. Some of the stuff we're doing is just incredibly astute because we're taking away one side of the field with a particular coverage option, zone dropping out a D-tackle and an inside linebacker. And then to the other side, we're just playing man. Made it real difficult on the quarterback. I think this is one where Roquan drifts to the boundary again, drifts up to the top side. Here's Roquan. And then I think you got Queen. 3rd and 6 on the 5th possession, another empty formation. Hamilton is all over Njoku. I think you got a clear out route at the bottom of the side of the screen. with Darby on Peoples-Jones. So I'm not exactly saying that Peoples-Jones is really giving tremendous effort to try to get open here, because a lot of times on these clear out routes, these guys know that they're not getting the football, so it looks like it's extremely well covered, and he's really not trying to get open. Clowney is being disruptive again. He's had opportunities for 3 or 4 sacks this year, if you ask me. I think you've got Hamilton up. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I think you got Stevens up at the top in good coverage. Hamilton is all over Njoku. You can see with his right arm, he's actually trying to get him off balance there. Njoku's got a big frame. He's very strong. But we're in great coverage relationship on this. Ball ends up being thrown away. Third quarter now. 1st and 15. This is going to be zone, and Darby with an amazing deflection. Full extension. Another one that you would think there's an opportunity for someone to intercept it when the ball is in the air this long after the deflection. And oh, by the way, Kyle Hamilton gives Amari Cooper a shot. Even if that ball's not deflected, Hamilton's going to be there to lay a shot on him on the sideline. Could be completed pass. Clowney is winning, at least in terms of getting to the edge. Quarterback has to step up and deliver the pass. It's zone, like I said. It's a great job, though, of getting depth by Darby. Look, he comes down to squat here. And I think to the backside, we're basically playing man with Stevens on Peoples-Jones. If you want to check that out, you can. Again, I don't think Peoples-Jones believes he's going to get the football as an option here, so he's not really running his route hard. But look at Darby carry to depth, because there's nothing to threaten this area in front of him right now. Potentially a developing route here late, but he's carrying the depth of the initial routes because there's nothing in front of him to pull him down. Just a great zone mentality. I think he looks fantastic in some of the plays that we've seen from Sunday's game. Still third quarter. I think you got a slot blitz by Malay or Mallette. Roquan, if you ask me, is a little bit late pushing out to the flats here, and it allows Njoku to slide out and get a 9-yard completion on a 1st and 12 after a penalty. Van Noy and Queen are dropping out in coverage, or Van Noy's dropping out up top, because it's basically like a trickle effect, or domino effect, I should say. Van Noy's dropping out because Malay is blitzing. Queen is also there. So I feel like Roquan is a little too close to Queen for that to be the design of this coverage. I feel like he should be pushing to this side of the field a little sooner than he is. Possibly be able to make the tackle a little bit sooner before it's a 9-yard gain. Hopefully you guys don't hear my children hollering downstairs. Third quarter, 3rd and 12. Rock Ya-Sin just blankets Amari Cooper up here at the top side. I think you've got man. Queen and Roquan are blitzing. Queen is so committed. He is such an unselfish player. It's a clear-out blitz by him, meaning he's going to bring someone with him to then allow Roquan to stunt underneath of it. A lot of times when Roquan is on the line like this, he's just dropping out. In this case, Queen is going to stunt this direction, and it's going to allow Roquan to fold back underneath. Hamilton ends up rolling to the field side because he sees a late route developing by Moore. I actually wonder if Hamilton should be there anyway. To me, this looks like a zone blitz with a man call on the backside. Zone blitz meaning you got 5 guys rushing. Harrison's dropping out. You'd have 3 deep, 3 under on this. And to the front side of this, down to the bottom, you can see Moore is pushing vertical up the seam. Stevens is dealing with this route by the outside receiver. I wonder if Hamilton should be flowing to that direction, that side already, but we have no idea. We don't get the call, but beautiful coverage by Ya-Sin. No chance for Amari Cooper to get the football. I felt like there was some times where he kind of tapped out. He's a really gifted football player who's accomplished a lot in the NFL, but I felt like there was times on Sunday where the Ravens, the combination of the great coverage by the Ravens DBs and the quarterback play being really inconsistent, he didn't give tremendous effort. Fourth quarter, this is going to be man pressure. This will be the last play that I show you. Look at Stevens down here in man coverage and Rock Ya-Sin up top. 3rd and 10, like I said, man pressure. It's a bad throw because I think the slot is potentially breaking open, but he's got pressure. He being the quarterback, he's got pressure. Jadeveon Clowney lays a shot on him. So many guys involved in this defense so far. This is film of the Browns game, but this is really making a statement about the way that things have gone this year. I love how the tempo that Stevens' feet move at on this play and multiple other plays, dealing with Elijah Moore and then Rock Ya-Sin, like I said. Ends up being the interception. Look how tight we are with Ya-Sin. And here, potentially if this ball was thrown, a little bit more towards the sideline, you've got the opportunity for a completion. He takes a shot from Clowney. At that point, I think the quarterback was a little bit gun-shy. He also had D-tackle pressure. Geno Stone, Brandon Stevens, Rock Ya-Sin, Darby, Millette. So many other guys. I think there's one that I'm missing there. Oh, it's Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton, we know how he can play. He certainly had an impact. He had an interception. He played fantastic against the Colts. But all these other guys, in the absence of Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Williams, are just having efficient plays stacked on top of each other. One coverage. The next play, totally different coverage. The third play, an entirely different coverage than the previous two. And these guys, multiple guys, are just stacking good coverage snaps on top of good coverage snaps. It's the NFL. We should have high expectations for them. But for my money, to see us doing this without two high-level, high-priced DBs with great resumes, I don't know. This is something to marvel at and appreciate. Hopefully I was able to bring you some film to allow you to appreciate it as well. The All-22 film comes out and you have things that you always want to look at. You kind of know what you're going to see because you've watched the broadcast game. In my case, I make notes, obviously, and then maybe try to go back and watch certain things late Sunday night to confirm, okay, I'm going to use that play, I'm going to use these plays. I knew what I was going to expect because the quarterback struggled so much, but when I saw how good the coverage was and how few mistakes there appeared to be, there really wasn't many options for the quarterback and for the receiver core for the Browns. The Ravens just shut them down. Appreciate you guys' time. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comment section. This one was a fun one to do, not really only focused on Brandon Stevens, but I wanted to draw attention to him and other guys like him that are really playing well above the expectation level for replacement DBs. Appreciate you guys' time. If you think other Ravens fans would enjoy this content, please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.